Aloha, awesome people, and welcome back to another Pokemon Sun and Moon discussion podcast video. So I do apologize for the delay in this particular podcast. I was originally going to upload this on the 1st of July when the news should have come out, since the leaks, we did have leaks for this particular news come out on June 30th, which I thought was fake upon looking at it at first, but then it turns out to be real, so I decided to delay it once again because I was waiting for the English names, and I'm kind of glad I did because I got a chance to learn more about these Pokemon and form a bit of a better opinion rather than saying, this Pokemon looks cool and that Pokemon looks weird, which I still kind of had that opinion, but at least I can evaluate further on that and just say why. But anyways, hopefully tonight will be a more shorter podcast than what my previous podcasts have been. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into the news. So in total for the recent reveal, we've had 8 new Pokemon revealed. And at the same time, we had the English names for the puppy Pokemon and the koala Pokemon revealed. And for the puppy Pokemon, we have Rockruff. And for the koala Pokemon, we have Komala. Now, Komala is pretty weird. It's still got the flavor of koala in it, but I wonder if Kom is like from comatose or something, so that's pretty cool. And speaking of comatose, that's going to be Komala's ability. Now, we already knew what the effect was, which was it cannot be affected by any other status except sleep, which makes it quite powerful, so can't toxic it, you can't burn it, can't paralyze it, etc, etc. All you can do is spore it to sleep, or sleep powder it to sleep, or just let it use rest. So that's really interesting. Probably one of the more stronger abilities in my opinion, since you can't toxic this in or burn it, so if it sets up, you can't burn it or put it at a disadvantage or anything, because it'll just won't work. So yeah, that's all I can really say about those 2 particular Pokemon. But moving on to the main attraction of this particular podcast, our newly released Pokemon, or newly revealed Pokemon, we have Charjabug, who is the middle evolution of Grubbin. We have Vikavolt, who is the final evolution of Grubbin, and by the way, those 2 Pokemon are really cool, and I'll get into more details about that. We then have the Island Guardian, which is Tapu Koko. We finally know what Tapu Koko looks like. And that is definitely an interesting Pokemon. Definitely was not what I was expecting in a way, but again, I'll get into more details. We then have Drampa, Bruxish, Cutiefly, and I am gonna apologize now in advance because I am not gonna say this Pokemon names right at all during this entire podcast, and that is Togedemaru. Wow. Yep. That's really hard for me because my dyslexia is going crazy just looking at it. You have to give me a couple of months to learn that name. I don't know how to say that one at all. But yeah, that's going to be our pick of client for Pokemon Sun and Moon. So anyways, let's actually go into proper details about talking about these particular Pokemon. I'm going to start off with Charjabug and Vikavolt because, as I said, to me, they are probably the most awesome Pokemon I have seen in a while. Charjabug, I'm probably more hyped about. And this is really weird coming from someone who, when they talk about particular Pokemon types, always rates Bug as one of the least favorites. Only because, this is coming from my personal opinion, don't take it to heart. I just don't like Bug Pokemon at all. None of them have really appealed to me at all over the years. Not a single one, I'd hate to say it. But we finally have, as I said, personal opinion again, we finally have a really good candidate for showing that bug types can be extremely cool looking, and that is Charjabug and Vikavolt. Now, Charjabug was a bit of an interesting one for me because when they revealed it, I kind of sat there in disbelief going, oh my god, Magic School Bus hype! Yippee! Only because I looked at it and all I could think was bus. I have no idea why. But it's actually a battery, which, again, is still cool. So as you can tell by its shape, it's shaped like one of those, I think it's a 9-volt battery. It's those big square batteries, and then its little horns at the front are going to be like the conductors that I think they're positive charges. Wow, I'm second guessing myself on batteries. That's weird. But going on, its eyes also have little spotlights in them. I guess that's what threw off the bus appeal to it. I'm not really too sure, and I really have no idea why I screamed out Magic School Bus either. but it's just cool. I don't know why, but I just attract to this particular Pokemon. It's just so cool looking, and its final evolution is even cooler looking. I will admit, even Grubbin itself was pretty cool looking too, and here I am getting excited about a bug-type Pokemon. Wow, it's amazing. Like, I love these moments when the new Pokemon games do come out, and they show off a Pokemon that you feel extremely excited for, and it's especially when it's a type that you're not usually excited for. This is something that really has made me like the Pokemon series throughout the years. Like, there's always something to be excited for. I'm gonna digress here and go back to Pokemon X and Y for a moment, but when that was revealed, where we had Skiddo, again, I'm not really a big grass type fan either, only because but they are cool looking, I will give them that. Not bottom of the list, but mid-tier list for favourites, but I've never really enjoyed using them. As we all know, grass types have the huge disadvantage with weaknesses and all that. Sometimes not very good offensive, but really weird stats defensive-wise as well. They could be either really good defensive walls or just all over the shop. But I finally had a Pokemon for grass type where I'm like, wow, this Pokemon looks really cool, and I can't wait to use it. And at the same time, when they threw in the riding mechanic, which, by the way, spoilers alert, riding mechanic has returned, which I took a prediction and turns out I'm correct. They're bringing back the riding Pokemon feature, and I'll talk about that at the end of the podcast. But anyways, the fact you could also ride a Skiddo and Go-Goat, plus the fact it was like really cool looking and something I could imagine in real life as a person who grew up on farms and all that, or surrounded by farms, growing up with like all farm animals and all that. It was a Pokemon I could relate to. Not really relate to, I think that's a dreadful word to use there, but almost imagine as a real life Pokemon. And this kind of comes back to the whole story, like not only being excited for, but also seeing a Pokemon in real life as well. When I looked at Grubbin first off, it actually put my mind on a Wigglygrub, which has a backstory as well. Back when I was a kid, we did an excursion to out the bush, because I lived out in the middle of the desert, with a lot of outbacky stuff, and we got to go to a native Aboriginal tribe, and they taught us on how they live off the land and all that, and I got the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to eat a Wigglygrub wrapped in these leaves or something, and let's just say I probably will never eat a Wigglygrub again, because I thought it was foul, but it's as I said, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But again, I actually thought Grubbin was a Wigglygrub at first, but it's just a grub in general. And again, the Charger Bug brings back that memory again, just like the Wigglygrub wrapped up in leaves. It's like, oh, well, that's cool in a way, I guess. But no, it's just cool in general. Anyways, I think I've talked on enough about Charger Bug. It's cool looking, we get that, and it brings back childhood memories of mine. But let's get on to its final evolution, which is Vikavolt. Now, again, this has a pretty interesting story, because when I was looking at the Pokemon reveals, I'd also been watching Digimon beforehand, the very first season, and the first thing that Vikavolt put my mind on was the Digimon Kawagamon. I'm like, that looks like Kawagamon. If that's not red when it goes shiny, I'm going to be extremely disappointed. And when I was looking up Vikavolt, its Japanese name, turns out its Japanese name is Kawaganon, very similar to Kawagamon. I'm like, yep, I'm definitely calling Vikavolt Kawagamon when I catch it. So again, another Pokemon that puts my mind onto something else that I enjoy. So again, that personal relationship between the Pokemon, seeing something and then thinking back to something else, is what gives that whole Pokemon some personal appeal, which is, as I said, something that I really enjoy for the Pokemon series, since I find Pokemon that I can just personally attract to, and then the reason why I tend to like them a lot. E.g. Mightyena, and that'll be a story for another day. But anyways, Vikavolt is the stag beetle Pokemon, obviously because it's based on a stag beetle. If you know what they look like, then you should get an idea on why Vikavolt is a stag beetle Pokemon. And yes, you can probably tell I'm pretty tired, which is why I'm dribbling on quite a bit tonight. Vikavolt is the final evolution from Charjabug, and again, it's Bug Electric with the ability Levitate. And I forgot to mention as well, Charjabug's ability was Battery. Now, this is a pretty interesting ability since when in double battles or triple battles or anything like that, it gives the ally Pokemon a boost in special moves. Now, I'm not too sure if that's going to be special moves or special attack. And the interesting thing here is my brain's going overboard thinking this is going to be an interesting strategy mixing in with Drampa, who I'll get into more details when we go up against that Pokemon. So we all know what Levitate does as well, so not really much to talk about there. So with that, we'll move on to the next Pokemon, which is Tapu Koko, which, as I said, is going to be the Island Guardian that we have to do our battle for at the very beginning of the game. Now, this Pokemon is going to be Electric Fairy, which is interesting typing to say the least. Electric Fairy we share in common with Dedian, and its ability is Electric Surge, which summons the electric terrain to the field. Now I'm thinking, if that's going to be a case, are we going to get a Pokemon that has the ability to summon the other terrains? We had Misty Terrain, and I think there was another one. I can't think of it. I think it was like Grassy Terrain, I think it is. There might be one more, but I can't think of it at the moment. But if this is going to do Electric Surge, that's what I'm thinking. Are the other Guardians going to summon the other terrains? If they do, that's pretty cool, because then people don't need to use those moves, and then they can just summon them quickly, kind of like Drizzle Drought quickly summons both Rain and Sun, which will set up some pretty interesting strategies when it, again, comes to double battles. So I'm definitely looking forward, like going from that perspective, I'm definitely looking forward to using these particular Pokemon, since I can branch out and show off how to effectively use these particular terrains, because personally I've never used them before, so be a new learning experience for myself and probably a few other people as well, which again I definitely give props to. And again, that was something they were looking at doing from like both Mega Pokemon, and if there's a new mechanic, probably that as well, since we're going to be looking at the bracelets, I think sometime very soon, hopefully. And a few other stuff. So the metagame will definitely be changing quite a bit in this gen by the looks of it. Anything else to talk about? It's also known as the Land Spirit Pokemon. And another thing as well, this could give people a reason to go back and watch Pokemon 2000, but I could have swore one of the totem masks when Ash and Co go to the island and are doing like the whole celebration thing, I could have swore there was like a mask there that actually looks like Tapu Koko when it's like all crouched up and coming down. Like at the moment, it's obviously like got its I don't know what you call it, part of its arms or something, or wings, it's out, but if you close it all together, it'll actually look like the totem mask. I don't know, like I'm actually gonna whip out Pokemon 2000 tonight after this podcast and watch and see if it is paying like some type of homage to this particular Pokemon. But I as I said, my memory could be a little bit blurry because I haven't watched it for a while. But yeah, I just thought that might be interesting. So I'm just going to move on, because there isn't really too much to really say about these Pokemon. Other than that, it does look really cool, I do admit that, and I am looking forward to using its ability. So moving on to Drampa. Now this Pokemon, as I said, I did want to talk about again in more of a competitive perspective, since it may work in harmony with Charjabug. Now its ability is Berserk, which is a brand new ability, or Sap Sipper. So Berserk, as I said, it's a really interesting ability. When its health goes below 50%, it boosts its special attack. Now originally I thought it might work something similar to Defeatist and lower its special attack, but then I read it again, it's like, oh, that's a bit on the strong side. So either this Pokemon's going to have very weak attack and special attack stats in order to have Sap Sipper or Berserk. I'm going to assume its special attack's going to be dreadful for this ability, otherwise it's going to be one strong Pokemon, especially if it gets some evolutions or something. It could even be like our possible pseudo-legendary for this generation, but I'm just, as I said, I'm assuming here, don't take it with a pinch of salt at the same time. So it's normal dragon. So again, this is really interesting. We've never had a normal dragon type before, so it's weak to ice, it's weak to dragon, weak to fairy, and weak to fighting with an immunity to ghost. which actually is pretty cool. So it's got some interesting weaknesses. Unfortunately, a big fighting type weakness, which is very common in singles. Now, let's just talk about this whole idea I had going with Charge Bug. Now, for double battles, I can definitely see something going along the lines of using Everlight Charger Bug with the battery ability, then using Drampa, get it below 50% health, raising a special attack with Berserk ability. On top of the battery boost, I'm assuming Drampa would have some pretty amazing special attack then. We're not really too sure how much battery will boost it by, whether it be 20%, 30%, or the usual 50%. If it's 50%, on top of the Berserk 50% boost, that would mean Drampa will be getting be attacking at 200% power by that stage, which is quite scary. On top of a Life Orb boost, or maybe a Choice Specs boost, Choice Specs would be another 50%, so 250%, Life Orb being 30%, 130% that would be going at 230%. They sound really scary, so as I said, if this Pokemon does have evolutions and also have Berserk, and they have decent special stat, that's a Pokemon to be scared of in the double formats. As for singles, maybe not so much as a scary Pokemon. You could get the Berserk ability kicking in, or a Choice Specs or Life Orb on it, and it would still be scary if its stats were decent. Otherwise, if they make their stats pretty low, then this isn't really a Pokemon to be afraid of. It'd be on the scary side, but it wouldn't be anything like too majorly overpowered, like looking at something like a... This is the thing, I can say like an example, but someone would disagree with me. But if you look at the Smogon format, it wouldn't be as powerful as something like a Mega Kangaskhan with the ability, or something like an Arceus or something, but that could be reaching just a little bit higher there. As I said, it's hard making examples because people play by different formats. But I will do an example for like the official format as well. It wouldn't be as strong as, say, like a Landorus or something. So yeah, it'd be interesting. All it really comes down is its stats, if they're going to be low or is it going to be high, and if it gets any evolutions as well. Also at the same time, its colour variations kind of threw me off. This was one of the reasons why I actually thought the leaks were fake, was because of this particular Pokemon. It just mashed with what I'm used to for Pokemon. Like, I don't usually see brightly coloured or like light coloured palette Pokemon. It was bizarre. I mean, looking at it now, like I've had a couple of days look at it, and I will admit, Drampa is a pretty cool looking Pokemon. I like it, but at first I was like, is that even a Pokemon? And top of that off, it's also a Chinese dragon in design. And just this again is going to more personal stuff. I'm a huge fan of Chinese dragons as well. Like my whole room, well, not my whole room, but half my room is dragons as well. So again, that's more of a personal appeal thing as well. A lot of these Pokemon are personally appealing for me. This is why I like this batch of reveals. Like, they're just so cool looking. So yeah, at the same time as well, I gotta throw this in. Is anyone else getting a never-ending story feel from it? Like that dragon, I think it was like Falconer or something from the never-ending story, because that's what I'm naming my Drampa, Falconer. So yeah, I wonder if anyone else got that feeling from it. Anyways, moving on, we have Bruxish, or Bruxish, the Gnash Teeth Pokemon. Now again, this is another one of those, is that even a Pokemon? Again, another one of those that made the leaks feel like they were fake. But no, this is definitely an interesting Pokemon. But at the same time, when you actually do some research into it and find out what it might be based on, there's a good chance it's actually based on either the filefish or maybe a reef triggerfish. I'd probably say more the filefish, because they're quite brightly coloured fish in real life. They're quite amazing to look at, actually. But at first, I actually thought this might have been like an anglerfish in a way, even though anglerfish are more like chinchou or lantern. I just thought maybe this could be a female variant where the light on its head may have been like short, and then the male could have had the longer version. Something like that, I'm not really too sure. But no, definitely I'd say a filefish in appearance. So yeah, this is definitely a brightly coloured Pokemon. Quite unique, but I've something similar to like Phoebus, I'd say. it'd probably evolve into a Serpentine Pokemon. I have no idea why, but I'm getting that Serpentine evolution feeling from this particular Pokemon as well. Not only that, it's a Water Psychic type Pokemon, and it has the abilities Dazzling or Strong Jaw. Also at the same time, while we're talking about Strong Jaw, I also did have a inch that it could have been based on a piranha, but then I looked at piranhas like, nah, that definitely doesn't look like a piranha. That was another thing as well. But yeah, we also have Dazzling, which prevents moves with an increased speed priority from hitting. Well, that's going to be a counter probably to Talonflame, because I did see when, I can't remember which Pokemon used it, they used Quick Attack, which cancelled that out. So if it negates anything with a priority on it, like Quick Attack or Gale Wing's Talonflame, then let's just say Bruxish is a Talonflame counter, which is, as we all know, a common Pokemon in VGC doubles and singles as well. So could we finally say goodbye to the Talonflame? I won't be saying that for much longer if it really is. So yeah, that's really cool. And as I said as well, Game Freak were looking at ways of balancing the meta, and I will admit the meta for especially doubles is out of whack. And I think a lot of people agree with me on that one. A few others may not. But yeah, Talonflame was definitely an annoying Pokemon in all formats. So as I said, this would be really cool if it does counter Talonflame. It may put it up quite high in the tiers if it's got decent stats as well. And we may see it quite a bit in VGC singles or doubles as a Talonflame counter, even though there's, I think, Greninja is a current counter for Talonflame. Landorus is a counter to Talonflame. Etc, etc. But it'd be nice to have just another guaranteed counter as well. Alrighty, so let's go on to Cutiefly, the bee-fly Pokemon. And this thing is so cute! Again, another bug-type Pokemon, and it's also bug fairy as well. How can I say no to that? That is so cute! Oh, and at the same time, it was kind of giving me a combi feeling as well. But this thing is so adorable! So it's got Honey Gather or Shield Dust, pretty common for a lot of bug types. But again, the whole combi feeling with the Honey Gather, so OP. Oh, I just can't get over how cute this thing is. But being called a bee-fly Pokemon, no guesses here. This one's definitely based off the bee-fly. So, besides saying it's cute, there's nothing really else I can really say about this Pokemon. I think it used something like Silver Wind or Fairy Wind in the trailer, and that was about it. So yeah, I'm sorry I can't give too much info about this particular Pokemon. This is the thing, I'm drawn, it's so cute, I don't want to see it evolve, but if it does evolve, why have I got the feeling it's going to be quite powerful? Always that unsuspecting power from something so cute. Moving on. We have the Pika clone for the next game, which is the annoying name, which I'm going to butcher, which is Togedemaru, the roly-poly Pokemon. And this is going to be Electric Steel, that huge ground-type weakness there, Iron Barbs or Lightning Rod as its two abilities. So, this will be interesting. I wonder how this is going to play out. Air Balloon is definitely going to be something a lot of people are going to have to run. Otherwise, if it gets Magnet Rise, that probably will be another move that this Pokemon will be known for in competitive battling. Because Earthquake is definitely going to hurt this poor little guy. But I will admit, it's cute, which is strange. I don't normally say that about a lot of the Pika clones. Because we all know how much I hate Pikachu. Oh god, I say that in jest, guys, don't take it to heart. But no, it is pretty cute Pokemon, and I love it when it crouches down and its little spikes come out, which is where the Iron Barb ability comes in, and it has Lightning Rod as well. So yeah, there's, again, something I can't really say too much about this particular Pokemon. I'd say it's based on, like a hedgehog or something, considering it's got the spikes on it. I was going to say squirrels, hybrid hedgehog, something like that. And hedgehogs are known to roll around a little bit. And I got nothing else to say. I'm sorry, guys. As I said, I would keep some of this quite brief unless I wanted to drivel on about how cute a Pokemon was. But I think we've had enough cuteness for tonight, I think. So yeah, they're all the new Pokemon we got. And I did say before I ended off the podcast, I was going to talk about the not really the brand new feature, but it's been confirmed that riding Pokemon will be making a return in Pokemon Sun and Moon, which, as I said, I did predict coming back. Maybe riding Rockruff, but instead we got shown riding a Stoutland instead, which I don't know if I actually made mention to that, but I know I did bring up Stoutland somewhere in that podcast, which makes me quite giddy on the inside. Yay! But I think that might have been a pretty easy prediction, since considering the Alola region was pretty mountainous. Which leads me to the question, like, what would you like to see riding Pokemon as a HN move, like teach a Pokemon a particular HN move and you're able to ride them around the Alola region? Or would you like selected Pokemon being able to ride? I mean, it would be really cool having the feature to choose which Pokemon you'd like to ride on the back of. I mean, riding on the back of Stoutland is so cool, I will admit that. Stoutland is a really awesome Pokemon, which I've come to appreciate quite recently, actually. I did appreciate it a little bit in 5th gen, but only just recently in 6th gen have I come to fully appreciate it in regards to design as well as competitive use in both Smogon's format and in the official formats for doubles. Haven't tried it yet in singles, not just yet anyway. But yeah, I did ask this question on Twitter. I didn't get that much response. I think it might have been a quiet day on my Twitter. But I had one person reply with they wanted to ride on the back of Ponyta or Rapidash. I mean, it would work if it was nice flat terrain, but for mountainous mountainsides, probably not too much. I mean, I definitely want to see a return of Go-Goat, or probably not Skiddo, probably a little too small for mountainsides. But any type of Pokemon that is known for living in the mountains or something like that, I definitely would see making a possible encounter as a rideable Pokemon. Kind of depends how far they're going to take this whole riding Pokemon mechanic. Are they going to make it just for riding up the mountains, or are they going to make it as a main transport around the Alola region, or are they going to make it as a possible, kind of like an Oris, how we had the ability to ride on a Lapras. Sorry, that was an X and Y as well. Oris, we had the ability to have Sharpedo pop up when you were surfing, and Kyogre as well, both surfing and diving. I think Wailmer had something as well. I can't remember if Wailmer was something or if that a default. Here I am dribbling again. But yeah, would you guys like to see particular Pokemon being made as rideable Pokemon? Would you like to see a HM turn them into rideable Pokemon? Would you like to see it as surfing Pokemon, or just as a main transportation to replace the bike? Because I'd be down with that if they got rid of the bike just for riding Pokemon. I'd say thumbs up, let me at it, because that is going to be bloody awesome. Bring it on! But I really hope that's a thing. I really do. Otherwise, I'll take the HM as a possible riding Pokemon mechanic. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for tonight's podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed me traveling definitely for the first 15 minutes. I do apologize for that, but I got wrapped up in the moment, which I think is something that we all do when we get like new games, and we're big fans of the series, which I guess is something that all brings us together when it comes to these new games. We all talk about the new games and like major hype. We're like, oh my god, I can't wait for this, or this Pokemon looks really cute, and the whole discussion begins, which is something that, as I said, I really enjoy participating in, and I've had fun talking to people in the past podcasts in the comment section below about how they feel or their thoughts on things, and expanding on the discussion, which is really cool, especially when talking about the whole competitive side on how things are improved on, or even ways of introducing new fans or casual players into the whole competitive side of it, which is something I've been wanting to see now for quite some time, actually. I've been wanting a way, or at least some way, of introducing players into the whole other side of Pokemon, rather than just playing through and just being the game and then putting the game down and never playing it again. So hopefully with Sun and Moon that's possible, and as I say, like, the more players we introduce in the community, it means more players we can trade with, more players we can battle with, and more players we can talk about Pokemon in general, which is something, as I said, I really, really enjoy. So anyways, I'm rambling on. You guys are probably sick of me. So until next time, this is Lady KrimZen saying ciao for now, but not forever. Ciao!